Alrighty, we're gonna do this one real quick. Anybody who's jumping in during the replay, usual thing, consider subscribing and liking. But anyway, let's get right to it here. Earlier today and last night, I did a stream where I was just looking to upgrade the hard drive on an existing Xbox mod. And in the past, one method I would do is I would simply use a boot disk on a desktop computer, usually an old Pentium 2 machine, and I would boot up that disk called Xbox HDM or Xbox Hard Drive Maker. I would already have a drive laying around that would contain a working configuration. It would have the C drive partition because every Xbox has a C drive and E drive partition. And I would just clone it, the whole drive, to whatever new drive I have. And then I would lock the drive with the appropriate code for that specific Xbox. And I would be good to go. I can, take it from there. I can add additional files to the F drive, which is where you would have your, games, where you'd have game disks that would be imported to the drive. And so I wouldn't have to go and do one disk at a time. I could just, take an existing set of drive files from my F drive. So I can clone the whole drive in its entirety. Or I could just do the C and E drive and then do the F drive separately. But it was a pretty straightforward process. But the point of this was to not have to do the soft mod procedure from scratch every time. All I would have to do is take a vanilla Xbox, take that copy of Mech Assault that has the exploit in it, take that special memory card save, run it in order to get into the Linux thing, in order to dump the unique code, EEPROM code from that Xbox. And then I would be able to use Xbox HDM to do everything else I needed to do. And the critical thing was at the very end, you'd have to apply that lock code that matches whatever new Xbox you have to the drive you want to put into it. And it would be easy peasy, you'd be good to go after that. But when I did that process, I did something similar. This time I just copied and pasted the files for the C drive. And it just didn't work. Gave me an error code 13 or 16, which was actually good because they had some clues here. So one of them was, this error happens when that Xbox is trying to bring you to the official dashboard, basically that menu with the black background and green color scheme, and it needs you to set the date and time. I said, okay, that makes sense. Still got the error after that, but then someone in a forum had error code 13 or 16, and they basically said, oh, you need to rerun the soft mod installer. You need to update it, for whatever reason. And I was like, well, you know what? This seems like unnecessary, but I was like, I'll do it, So I get a link on that Reddit post, and basically it led to this Google Drive. In fact, it led to this GitHub page for the Rocky 5 Xbox soft mod or soft modding tool. It tells you all about it, but basically the gist was downloading the pre-built version because I don't need to recompile it, going to the installer variant folder, and downloading this right here, the Xbox HDM.zip file. From there, it basically contained these two things, instructions and the C drive. And basically they're saying, this is assuming you're using Xbox HDM, which now there are other ways to do it. Basically follow the instructions and copy the C drive folder that is included here. And what was, at a glance, you can see there's a installer here. So that implies that this isn't fully ready to go, but when you turn on the Xbox, now it's going to bring you to a menu with an installer. And we're going to basically run through that procedure real quick right now. So I have a 600 gig drive, and we're going to make it work in my Xbox. So, we just plug in the power connector. Ooh, that's the button that's missing. Fun, annoying thing. The Steam Deck, or Stream Deck, gave me a problem earlier. It lost all my buttons. Like, just because I restarted my computer, it maybe unplugged something. And it didn't have a backup. So, yeah, manually back up your Stream Deck settings before that happens. Make it a habit of it. Every time you make a major change, back it up, because it will betray you if you don't. Eventually, it will. Maybe not right away. But anyway, so, which one was it? I think it was, that one there. I don't remember how I did this here. So MSI, did it add Dell display? What did I just change? I don't even know what I just changed. How about that? Yeah, I don't even remember what the previous setting. Anyway, we're gonna use this. So that's my desk cam, and when I figure out what button is missing, I'll update that button too. All right. So anyway, I've got a power adapter here, which I've already plugged in. It's still off, and we have a serial ATA cable. And, there's many ways to skin a cat, but this particular SATA adapter works, so we're gonna use it. And you just flip the switch to power up the drive. I feel it spinning up. I thought I smelled smoke for a second, but yeah, it's spinning up. And then we plug in the USB cable, which I just plugged into my hub. From there, we get back here, and that was the thing missing here. So, yeah, I had a missing button. Now it's good. We open up an app called Xbox Fat Explorer. And this is the new way to do it, because before I would use Xbox HDM, but basically that worked on my Pentium 2 class machine off of a CD. And after that, I've never had success with the USB version of Xbox HDM. There were ways to make it work, but ultimately this program seems to account for a lot of those things, a lot of those extra steps, so thereby eliminating those extra steps. For example, in settings somewhere, it'll allow you to specify like what type of USB, here we are, device type, auto detect, serial ATA. I guess that's what it is, but different brands of USB devices. So if you actually looking at the back end, there will be commands or little triggers added to each command that correspond to these. So this is detecting it and then applying the correct trigger, whereas Xbox HDM apparently wasn't doing that. And unless it's clearly delineated in some manual documentation or something like that, you're asked out. So this time we're good, right? So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and make sure the drive is unlocked. Right now the drive is unlocked. One exciting thing is a development that used to not be the case years ago. You didn't have zeroed or nulled Xbox keys. Now you do. And that's good, because back in the day, I would have to have a separate, what I would do to keep track is I'd have a separate boot disk for every Xbox motherboard with its respective unique code. So if I want to take a hard drive and, install it on Ron's Xbox, I would take Ron's disk. If my friend Marty came back to me and said, Ron, I need to get this fixed, I would have a disk with his name on it. Or maybe I would do it a mod for somebody, and I would never touch their Xbox again, but I would have a binder with their disk in it in case I ever had to go back and, put a new hard drive in their Xbox. Because if I don't have that code backed up somewhere, I couldn't, put a new hard drive in the Xbox. Now, apparently what you do is you do the soft mod, you go into the menu after you do the mod, and you null the key. So there's a way to update the chip on the motherboard to have all zeros printed on it. I don't know how that works exactly, but it works. And then by having that blank key was just a bunch of zeros, now it's like between 4 different Xboxes, all I got to do is lock it with the same code. I don't have to worry about them being unique anymore. So that is like wonderful right there. I remember when I bought the Xbox on eBay, and I was telling the guy, hey, the motherboard died on this, man, but I want to copy the data, do you know the key code for this Xbox so I can create a new hard drive or so I can move the hard drive over from the Xbox that broke to one that I have? Because I had like 5 Xboxes, so it's like it was no problem for me to take the hard drive that the guy that came in the Xbox that he sold to me, apply a different code to it. I would have to unlock this drive with the code for the broken Xbox, then relock it with the code for a different Xbox. And the guy's like, oh no, I made it a 0. I'm like, what? I was like, that's a thing? I was like, that's so cool. And ever since then, being aware of that has been great. So anyway, at this point, we're gonna prep this drive, and I think this drive is already prepared. I may have to reformat it anyway, but let's see here. We scan for it. You go to security tools. We see the drive over here, and it'll allow us to lock it apparently. So for whatever reason, this drive is in a state where it's not locked, but I can't see anything on it right now. If we go to the Windows Disk Management, we can make sure that the drive is recognized. And oh yeah, it's being seen as a whole new drive. So anyway, let's go ahead and format this new blank drive. Original Xbox drive. And Nada, nothing. Sometimes you gotta unplug it and plug it back in. Sometimes you gotta close the app and reopen it. We'll give it a shot. It doesn't remember the window size every time I do this. Okay, no bueno. All right, that's all right. Let's go ahead and format it from scratch if it lets us. It does not. We're gonna close it again, disconnect it, reconnect it. For all I know, this drive could be faulty. So maybe we try a 1.5 terabyte drive, you know? That would be kind of cool, you know? But I would like to see this drive work anyway. So let's see here. Open up the app, shrink the window a wee bit. Okay, there we go. So it's recognizing the drive this time. We tell it to load. It's going to show us the drive letters. It's going to say, you want to mount it? Yeah, I want to mount it. Now, this is the one where I had the wrong files here. Not so much wrong, but this is where I was trying to just copy a known set of files that worked, and it didn't work. This time we're going to take the Rocky 5 files, which, you know, we got from that website earlier, which, you know, we went to this GitHub repo. We clicked on download, and it brought us to this Google Drive. And under installer variants, I downloaded this zip file. The zip file contained all of this. It actually contained all of this, but I don't need the instructions. So we'll copy these files here, and we're going to go to the X drive because that's the drive letter that I, you know, mounted to. We paste it in, waze, let it run. We go back to Fat Explorer. We're going to dismount it, unmount, remount it. This time we're going to do the E drive. I want to take a look at that. And the E drive is probably going to be really stacked. Okay, it's not really stacked, but it's got stuff on it. So anyway, let's circle back real quick. If I really want, I can add more stuff to the E drive ahead of time. Because I know I want all of these things on the Xbox. Wait, actually, that's a bad idea. We're going to leave it like this. So these are the, you know, essential files for the E drive that we already populated. So I'm going to leave it alone. Next step is to dismount it. We're going to go to security tools, pick the correct drive, and lock it with the zeroed out key. There we go. And then we can dismount it physically. We can remove it at this point. So I usually like to flip the power switch off, unplug the USB, and we're going to put this in the Xbox. And while that's happening, you can already see I have the Xbox running. There's like a little menu here now. From here, we could do a lot of things. Apparently, these are the 3 apps that came with this setup. There's nothing in any of the folders right now, but I know I was successful earlier because it shows my full capacity. But for now, we are just going to shut it down. So we go to system or something. This menu is a little weird. It's not my favorite menu. I'm definitely going to tweak, tinker a bit, and try a different setup altogether. Maybe even clone a setup of a known good configuration. I'm kind of surprised, you know, copying the known good config didn't work, but it's possible that now, after running the auto installer we're about to run, I'll be able to delete those files and then proceed with the, you know, manual insertion of files. So we're going to give that a shot. We're going to go back to HDMI 1. All right, booting up. We get that gamepad. We'll let it rip. Usually takes a few seconds, little juggling. If this doesn't work, make sure the date and time is set correctly, assuming you have a known good drive to put in there. And so, yeah, right here it literally says press A to install soft modding tool. And it does some copying. It's gonna, copy some data to the E drive or expand some folders on the C drive. We want NTSC since we are in the Estados Unidos. And there we go, just let it rip. Good. That backup file, that backup is just in case. Now you're gonna not see the full reboot. It's gonna blank out every time it does that. The screen goes blank for a little bit longer. Okay. Video got a little sketchy there. The Elgato is a little confused with all the switching up. Now it's going to go on to the next phase of the procedure. Whenever my screen loads up, whenever the screen switches its source, you see it's like doing its thing. Now, writing the EEPROM, what did that just do? I mean, luckily it didn't ruin anything because I know it didn't ruin anything before, but that might be the step where it makes the EEPROM code 0. I'm not really sure, but normally I wouldn't expect it to write to the EEPROM. That's how out of the loop with this whole process I am. I don't even know, or really, I didn't read the procedure. I said, screw it, let's run it. I know it worked before, so, we just let it rip. But to play it safe, yeah, it doesn't hurt to know. Okay, now it's going to create the files onto the C drive for the dashboard. The dashboard is like that menu. Is my microphone working right? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. The VU meter looked a little weird. I was like, I hope I'm not talking into thin air. Right? Waiting for it. Waiting for it. Wait for it. Yeah. Very, very boring. But this is still, I gotta say, very streamlined. I mean, like, I haven't had to do any intervention for like a minute. Okay, now this is the menu. Unlike the menu that I have on this other drive, the Black Western Digital drive, it doesn't have the cool, like, animated list and all of that stuff. So, one thing I would want to explore later on is if I can just copy that configuration to this C drive without rerunning the whole installer. I'd like to think it could be done, but it's possible it won't work because it didn't work before. But this time we have the advantage of having this drive all, prepped correctly. If we want to double check the storage readout, we can go here. And you can see that it says like 749, 602 gigabytes. So that's a good sign right there. Now, both drives are actually configured like this. So instead of having to go jockeying disks, I can go ahead and just plug this guy back in. And we could try a little experiment real quick. And so in this experiment, what I'm going to do is drive is plugged in. We spin it up. We plug in the USB cable. And we're going to find out if this works. I was actually going to save this for later, but we're already there. So we might as well try it out. And in this experiment, we're going to take the C drive from the Xbox that is pimped out, basically. And we're going to drop it in there. And we're going to also see if we can get that F drive fired up. Now, That's the part where things might get a little weird. I might have to like FTP that data over, and only because I'm leaving the house soon, and I don't really have time to like jockey disks, but that'll be off stream. Normally, you might plug two hard drives in at the same time. Oops, I meant to unlock it. There we go. I just unlocked it. I'm pretty sure. Normally, you would plug two drives in at the same time, and you would go from one to the other. In this case, I could either take the black hard drive, copy that data to this computer, and then take this green drive and go from my computer to that drive. But what I want to do this time is just make sure I have an F drive partition in a moment, and then I can upload it to the F drive. So before we do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just, you need an additional 179 megabytes to do this. All right, let's try something else out here. Now we have enough space. And then after that file transfer is done, we'll dismount it. We're going to remount the other drive letter. All right. There is an F drive. It's blank, but there is an F drive. So this is where we're going to FTP upload a ton of stuff. Right now, we're not ready to do that yet. Same thing, before the drive can be used, it must be locked. Now, before you can lock it, I think we have to dismount whatever is mounted. So we're going to say unmount it. Then it should come up in the list. Then we can say set with the null code. Then we can close this app. We can unplug, spin it down, plug it in, and see what happens. Oh, and before we do that, of course, we must shut this off. And of course, when I plug this back in with the Ethernet cable, it will come up with an IP address that I can connect to using an FTP client. I actually half expect this. I more than half expect this not to work. But we got to wait for the error code to come up before. Okay, so that's not a surprise, actually. That's entirely fine and unsurprising. But it does make me wonder how this guy got the pimped out menu in here, because I really hate the idea of having to do it from scratch. What I'll probably do is post a Reddit post asking somebody. In the meantime, what I've done is I've created the whatchamacallit. I plugged in the Ethernet cable. I didn't create anything, but that will allow me to use Win Secure Copy, although we're not going to use Secure FTP for this. We are going to change the IP address here. And we'll use Save As. Okay, so does it say the IP address here? 1.227. Okay, so we're going to do 1.227 save as 227. And then we can connect to this. And it should be probably, password will probably be some generic shit. Yeah, it is. And then we're already in F drive. So we got my C, E, and F drive. C drive is pretty much devoid of anything. I might be able to keep, well, let me see here. Yeah, I'm going to just get the big files on here. So now that this is connected and opened here, I can take a known good drive, this one here, and we're going to plug this into my USB adapter. So we got this. Oh, I forgot. This is an old IDE drive. So in this case, we would actually plug it in using the parallel ATA or IDE connector, the older style connector. And that also means we must swap the modern serial ATA power connection for this one here, the Molex connector. And then we can go there, spin it up, give it a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, plug in the USB cable, and then we're going to open up Fat Explorer again. Okay, so now, is it going to work? No, of course not, because you have to unlock the drive before you can open it. Even though the code is null or zeroed out, you still have to do that. Now, if it doesn't come up right away, you can refresh it a few times. You can close the app and try again. Maybe I plugged it in and opened it too quickly. So we go to security. If it's still blank, we could try, kindly unplugging the USB, plugging it back in, giving it like 5 seconds, a quick 5 seconds. We reopen Fat Explorer. We go to security. Well, that's a bummer. So there might be a perfectly good explanation for this. There could be 2 explanations for this. I want to say I was successful at mounting this drive earlier, but I'm not 100% on that. Now, it is possible that maybe I plugged it in wrong, so I'll double check the pins, make sure that everything is in order. The power connector was good. Did I move this jumper? No, I did not move the jumper, so I'm not going to move it now. And I do have another way of connecting this, but the problem is if I use, no, that would be no good. I would actually be at a loss. If this did not work, I would have to go and put this drive back in the Xbox for now, which actually wouldn't be a problem. We would still be doing FTP. We would just do it in reverse. So right now, as it stands, this drive is locked for this Xbox. So before I can even manipulate or do anything with it or, access the files on this computer, I have to unlock it. And so it stands to be reason that if I can't unlock it, it is still locked, meaning this Xbox will, this hard drive will work in its respect. Oh wait, I didn't plug in the USB cable. That might help, So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna spin it back up, make sure my USB port is on, give it enough time to spin it up, and we're gonna plug it in on my Mac now. Then we're gonna go here, and we're gonna wait. Open up the Explorer. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. Want to go here? Yeah, that's bizarre. I'm not sure what that's about, but it's not a big deal right now. I have other ways to cope with that. It is a minor nuisance. So we're gonna unplug it, spin it down, put this back in the Xbox, and what we're gonna do is we're going to basically take the data via FTP from the Xbox and send it to this drive, which means we're gonna get a different IP address when we open up WinSCP. We also have to shut down the Xbox. Now, do we have to shut it down? I honestly don't know. I just do it to be safe. I'll be back. Now, I did figure out why this adapter didn't work before, and it was basically because the ribbon cables normally have 40 wires. Even though there's 40 pins, they also make an 80 wire or 80 pin, 80 conductor cable, which is weird, but it basically has something to do with signal integrity or something like that. Similar to like when you use twisted pair Ethernet cable to deal with interference on the line. But this adapter does work. Switch back to HDMI. Get the serial ATA power connector back in. See, this is the one. This is like what I was trying to directly copy, that I now have to copy the more, complex way. And it probably works out better this way, because it'll allow me to like basically make a backup while I'm doing it. I can kill two birds with one stone. I can do a backup, even though I think I have it on my server. I'm going to do a backup right now anyway to play it safe, to avoid Murphy's Law. I can always delete one of the copies. And everything should be set up in here already. So if I go back to my desktop and I go to Win Secure Copy, we can go directly to this Xbox here. And it'll most likely connect. There we go. So from here, we're going to go to the Xbox folder I created. And we're going to do, okay, let's see. Main backup. Xbox backup to 2023. We'll start there. And we're going to do everything. We're going to do straight everything. So before we do anything else, we're going to do like the C, E, and F drive. And then when I remote in, I could copy these files remotely over to the 640 gig. And the only thing I wouldn't be able to replicate most likely is the menu. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this running. Download in background. Transfer background queue. There we go. Now it's copying that entire 200 gigabyte Xbox hard drive to this computer. And we're just going to leave this on, because you got to leave this on like this in order for the FTP server to run. We're going to go back here, and we don't need to do much in here yet, but at some point later on. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell was that? What the fuck was that? Pardon my language. Why did that happen just now? It's not in the system tray. It's not in the bottom right corner. But WinSCP decided to just like crash. My guess is that there's an update available, and I better install that update, because maybe the last update, broke it, and this update fixes it. But you saw that. I was like, before I was wondering what happened when it closed on its own. Okay, in the meantime, we can see that's the drive. There we go. Now we can unlock it using the 0 code. It says if you can't access the data, unplug it and plug it back in. Okay, that's cool. I can do that. It's no big deal there. And close this app. In the meantime, we'll let this launch WinSCP. Okay, we got the same Xbox in there. Before we do anything else, we're going to just shrink this up. We're going to do devices, refresh. There we go. That's good. And then we can use the mounted volume on drive letter X, and we can do the mother load. So right now, the C drive is fine already. We need to put the mother load on the other drive. But, I want to be darned sure. Do not touch anything here. Okay, I believe this is the one that was working or is working. And to be sure, we can double check the C drive folder. Good. This is the bad one. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean that's the bad one. This, what you see here, is the result of running that auto installer. So we're looking good there. Now we're going to go ahead and dismount it. We don't have to worry about the warning. We know we want to dismount it. And we're gonna do E drive, F drive. I say I want the F drive mounted because that's gonna be the larger one. So I'm gonna keep this guy opened over here. We'll leave this program like floating around here. No big deal. It's not super critical at this time. And we're gonna hope that this doesn't crash this time because that would be superbly annoying. And we just want to go to x:\\/ Xbox mod, Xbox backup, and maybe this time we'll do just the download the F drive for now, just to see if it crashes. So before, for whatever reason, I think all I did was I clicked up here, or I tried to resize the window or some shit like that, and it just like closed on its own. So I'll remote into it while I'm away from home and I'll see what happens. But at this point, we are looking better. So in the meantime, my task is to go on Reddit and ask, why is it I can't just copy the C drive files from a known good Xbox hard drive and have it work? Provided that I take on the other steps, which I'll describe in detail on the Reddit post. I'm sure there's a logical reason for it. I just want to know, why is it that when I copy the files that already work, it doesn't work, but when I run the auto installer, it works? And I see what the real, logical answer is. And regardless of that post in the, interceding time period, we'll have two things happening. We'll be downloading a lot of data from that Xbox, like 100 and something, 200 gigs from that Xbox. You can already see the numbers, so this is good. It means it's working. And that little issue where this app closed seemed to get fixed when I ran the update. Okay, so 10 megabytes a second over 100 megabit connection, that's like a comparable conversion right there. So it'll take a little while. This says 5 hours. I don't know if it'll be truly 5 hours, but do the math. 11 megabytes, we'll round it down to 10. 10 times, 10 seconds. It's 100 megabytes. So what is that? 100 megabytes in 10 seconds. 600 megabytes a minute. 6 gigabytes in 10 minutes. Is that right? Is that 6 gigabytes in 10 minutes? That might be right. That might actually be right. And then if that's, I feel like I'm missing something with the numbers here, but I think that's right. Yeah. Okay. So 6 gigabytes in 10 minutes. So, 36 gigs an hour, if I'm calculating that right. And just to make sure we got that right, we're going to do 10 megabytes a second times 60. See, I'm at 600. And then times 60 again will be 36 gigabytes. And this is like me lowballing it a little bit. Some files might transfer quicker, others might go slower. But 36, means that if I do like 2 hours, 3 hours, like 3, 6, 9. Yeah, it's about 5 hours. Yeah, it is about 5 hours, 6 hours. So let's just do 6 hours. So it'll take about 4.5, 5 hours to do everything. That is about right. But the F drive is only, I think, it's not 200 gigs, it's smaller. So maybe it takes 3 hours and 2 hours for this other data set. Whatever it is, we could get it done in 6 hours tops, if that. If that. I should probably count. Time is 11:41 p.m. Eastern Time, New York. And when I check back, we'll see if it's done yet, or maybe I'll catalog the time. I'm not going to keep OBS recording this whole time, but that said, we will be ending the stream. So yeah, I'm just glad that this much progress has been made. I'll get more answers about those minor questions, and I'll check back, during another video or stream to share what I've learned about that. And with that, I thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission when I find a button.